You carefully track the goblins through the caverns and find yourself in a large open chamber. On the other side, there are two large cages housing your compatriots. You do your best to sneak up behind the goblins as quietly as you can. It is then that you hear screeches from all around you. You look around, goblin faces appearing from behind the stonework and on top of the pillars. It's a trap. You've been set up. They have surprise and the high ground. It's going to take all of your wit to get out of this alive. Roll for initiative. Hello friends, and welcome back to the Hall of Craft. Today I got a super fun video for you guys. It's a new idea, fresh take on something that I don't think anybody else has given enough love. We're making pillars. Not just any pillars, interlocking modular pillars. Because I live in a small apartment and everything I make needs to get a lot of mileage, okay? So, let's just jump right into it. So to start out, we have our sketch of what the pillars are going to look like. They're 1 by 1 by 4 on a 1.25" base with a 1.5" square underneath it. And then the bridge pieces are 1 inch by 4 inches. So I'm just going to trace this all out on some blue polystyrene. Drawing on a bunch of 1 inch by 4 inch rectangles and then some 1 inch by 1 inch squares. Those will be the caps. So I'm going to cut them all out on my Proxon. You could use a knife if you don't have a hot wire table. This is just much faster. Just making sure that my wire is perfectly straight, because I want these to line up as best as possible. Now I'm going to mill those pieces down into the 1 inch by 1 inch by 4 inch rectangles for the pillars. I was using 2-inch thick polystyrene, so for every rectangle I cut out, I'm getting 2 pillars. So here we're going to make our template, and this is how we're going to make the connecting mechanism for all of the pillars. So what I'm going to do is cut it out of some MDF chipboard, and this is going to be going on the top of our 1 inch pillars. So I need to mark the center of each 1/4 inch area where the peg will go. And then once I've marked that area, I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and drill these holes in. They need to be big enough for a toothpick. Here's what that looks like before you drill the holes. And here's what it looks like when you use it to put the toothpicks in the pillar. So I'm going to cut a second template out while I'm at it, and this is for the bridge pieces, or the archways. So I'm just going to measure it out and draw an arch on. And I'll be using this to trace onto all of my archway pieces. So I'll just cut that out with an X-Acto knife. And it's good to go. You just hold it on top and draw it. So for all of the archways, I'm just going to cut them out now. Okay, so I'm going to take out some sheets of foam core, and I'm going to start cutting out the bases for our pillars. So these will be 1.5 inches, and we'll also be cutting out some 1.25 inches. So just going to use a sharp X-Acto knife and cut all those out. So once we have those cut out, we need to weigh them down. So I'm going to trace a washer on and then cut out its area and pick out all the foam. I go to test fit the washer, it doesn't quite fit, so I need to cut out a little more. There we go. Gonna do that for all the bases now. And then here's where I cut out the 1 inch by 1/4 inch squares, and these will go on top of the pieces that have the washer to hide that. So I'm going to peel the paper off the top of those pieces. And I'm going to roll up some tin foil to give them a rock texture. I'm just going to roll it on top. Okay, so now that we've got those, I'm going to take a hot glue gun and I'm going to glue those washers into the holes that we cut. And then I'm going to put glue on top of the washer and stick the smaller pieces that we textured with the tin foil on top of that. This will give us a nice weighted base for the pillar, so it's not going to fall over on you. So now we're going to take our pillar pieces, take a sharp X-Acto knife, and bevel the edges to give them more of a natural rocky texture. And then I'm going to take the tinfoil ball and give them the same texture that we gave the foam core. And we're going to do that for all of the pillar pieces. Okay, so for our end cap pieces, we're just going to bevel the edges as well, but make sure to leave one side flat. That'll be the bottom side. That's a test fit there. So just do that for all of them. So the next step is we're going to take some tacky glue and we're going to stick the pillars to the bases that we made. You want to make sure these are as straight as you can get them. Use a square edge if you can. It's important that these line up with each other. Okay, so I'm going to take another sheet of foam core, I'm going to texture it up with the tin foil, and then we're going to start cutting bricks out of it. You're going to need more than you think with this part. I show you a pile here, I think that that's enough. It's about a quarter of what I need. Okay, so once you got your pile of bricks, I'm gonna take some more tacky glue and just start sticking them on. Going for an imperfect ruin look with these pillars, so I'm not trying to get total coverage, just implied coverage. Tacky glue is great because it holds them right in place. Okay, so once you've done that to everything, I'm going to do this to my extension pieces. These are just pillar pieces that don't have a base. The only difference in the way you apply the bricks to these is you're going to want to make sure there's definitely one at the top and definitely one at the bottom. This will help create the seamless edge when you plug it into the top. And here's just a bridge piece. Just randomly applying bricks onto wherever I can put them. I'm intentionally keeping the top of the bridge plain because I want to keep it playable and have miniatures on top. Okay, so once you've done all that, you can celebrate a little bit. The worst of it's behind you. Now we're just going to start using our template. So grab your MDF template and line it up with the top of your pillars. And then hold it in place and start poking your toothpicks into the top. Do your best to keep these as straight as possible. They don't have to be perfect, but the closer to perfect they are, the better your connections will be. You put them about halfway in, and then use a pair of pliers to cut off the top quarter. So about a half in, and then a quarter left, and the other quarter cut off. I don't bother sticking these in with any adhesive because I'm going to coat these in black paint and Mod Podge, and that'll hold them together no problem. So just repeat that process to the top of all of your based pillars and the top of all of your connections as well. So now we're going to do the bottoms. So anything like the connection piece or the bridge or the cap, you're going to take your template and take a toothpick and just start poking holes in to where those connections are going to line up. You're not leaving the toothpick in, you're just indicating the holes. So once you've done that to everything, you're going to take something hot. You could heat up an X-Acto knife or use a wood burner if you have one. I do, and it works really good. I recommend it. So just going to put that about medium temperature and then use it to start expanding on all the holes that we've already indicated on the pieces. The bigger the holes, the easier it'll be to connect these, but the less snug the connection. So you can find your own happy balance. I found that the wood burner achieved a pretty good result. They look kind of large when you're doing it, but once the pieces are all coated in Mod Podge and black paint, the connections is pretty tight, and I was really happy with it. Here's a bit of test fitting. Really happy with how it's turning out so far. So now we're going to coat these. So I'm going to mix up a bunch of black paint and some Mod Podge in a glass container here, and then shake it up. Once that's well mixed, use a brush you don't care about that much and just start coating them all. Make sure you get a pretty solid coverage on these, even inside the holes that you poked in. And then once that's dry, I'm going to take a sponge and some deep gray and just generously coating all of these. So once that's dry, I'm going to take some dark taupe and do more of the same thing, but coat it a little less aggressively this time. We're not going for 100% coverage like we were with the gray. This is going to look a little dramatic while you're doing it, but the next couple steps are going to cover most of this up anyway. So after the dark taupe, I'm going to use a light gray and go even less coverage on this one. Only kind of hitting the highlight areas, not the bottom of these pieces. Then for the final step, I'm going to take out a dry brush and a suede, and I'm just going to give these a really light coating on the highlights, only the most highlighted areas. And that's it. Interlocking Modular Pillars. I'm super excited about this concept. I think there's a lot of potential for it in the future. I have a few ideas floating around in my brain about what I want to roll these out to in the future. Leave a comment if you have any suggestions of your own. I'd be really excited to see what the community does with this idea. Like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and share it with your crafty friends if you're so inclined. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Hey, we know what